Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is probably one of the best DreamWorks movies they've ever released in a while, and it was a sequel to a movie that was okay in my opinion. But one of the main reasons people like this movie is because of one of the antagonists, Death. Now, DreamWorks is no stranger to writing incredible villains, but for some reason Death caught the attention of a lot of people, so that's what I want to look at today. Why people love this character and why his character works with only 8 minutes of screen time. I think it's important to understand why Death works as an intimidating villain. You first have to look at Puss's character. At the beginning of the movie, we can see that Puss is full of himself. He's able to defeat any villain that he comes across. This results in him not valuing his 9 lives. This made Death furious because Puss was not valuing his life, which is why he came after him in the bar scene after Puss defeated the giant. You can actually see Death in the crowd because he knew all along that the bell was going to land on Puss. After fighting the giant, Puss sees a doctor and he tells him that he only has one last life. This sets up the audience's expectation, knowing that Puss is on his last life. It makes the first fight with Death more intense. Also, Death's character design is very menacing, with him wielding dual scythes and wearing a black hooded cloak and having piercing red eyes. It's a very simple but effective design that conveys a threatening presence. Wagner Moura, I hope I pronounced that right, does a fantastic job at voicing the character. He brings a menacing bass to his voice that makes him memorable to people. Not to mention that he's physically bigger than Puss, which adds to the fear. When Puss is fighting Death, it sets the stage for what to expect whenever we see the character throughout the movie. The action is fast paced, visceral and engaging to watch. Also, the moment that stuck out to a lot of people was when Puss bleeds for the first time. The reason I bring this up is because it reminds me of when Brad Bird said this about animated movies.
It's better if kids realize that there's a cost. It's more dramatic and it's closer to life, you know? This is not one of those films where we're going to put a pillow around every experience.
I think this applies very well to Puss in Boots. When we see Puss bleed, it confuses the audience a little bit because this is a kids animated movie. People were not expecting for the main character, Puss, to be put in a serious situation like this. After we see Puss bleed, his hair stands on end and his life flashes before his eyes. This is a stark contrast to when we first saw Puss at the beginning of the movie. Until the end of the movie, Puss is fearful of death and so is the audience. Let me ask you a question. Every time you heard the whistle, did you get concerned a little bit about Puss? Because I know I did. The next time we see Death, he's amongst a crowd of people and he puts 2 coins over his eyes and points towards Puss, which signifies payment towards Karen, the ferryman in Greek mythology, to ferry the soul across the river Styx into the afterlife. This is also foreshadowing for later on when Death reveals his identity to Puss. Speaking of that scene, when Death reveals his identity to Puss, it surprised me and it made sense given his actions and his dialogue, what he said in the beginning. But what I like most about Death in this movie is that he didn't hate Puss for no reason. He came for Puss because he wasn't humble. He sees Puss as undeserving of his final life and wants to teach him a lesson about valuing existence. However, Death ultimately spares Puss when he realises that Puss has changed. By the end of the film, Puss has learned to appreciate life, embrace his mortality and prioritise meaningful relationships over reckless adventure. Seeing this transformation, Death acknowledges that his purpose has been fulfilled and lets Puss go. I love this character so much. There's a reason why there's so many TikTok edits out there of him. He's definitely up there with Tai Lung and Lord Shen from Kung Fu Panda. This is going to be a shorter video, but let me know in the comments if you like this character as much as me. Also, let me know what you think of the movie in general. But I hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.